Hey everyone, gather around. I've got a story for you. Picture this, a dusty little town at dusk, the kind where the cicadas hum and the golden light spills over cracked sidewalks. There's a boy leaning against a weathered temple wall. Let's call him Rohan. His voice cuts through the stillness like a trumpet. I'm gonna top the school, then build a company that changes the world. His friends nod, wide-eyed, an old woman passing by smiles. He's a dreamer, a talker, a spark ready to ignite. But here's the kicker, fast forward a year, and Rohan's still there. Same spot, same dreams, same empty hands. The spark? Fizzled out. Sound familiar? Think about your own life for a sec. That goal you swore you'd crush, losing 20 pounds, launching a side hustle, mastering a skill. You told your best friend, posted it online, maybe got a few likes. The hype felt electric, right? But weeks later, you're scrolling instead of sweating, dreaming instead of doing. What happened? I used to wonder the same thing, until I stumbled across Rohan's story, a tale from a small town that flipped my whole perspective. Stick with me, because I'm about to take you through his journey, mix in some stories from my own messy life, and drop a truth that might just change how you chase your dreams. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. It's not just a story, it's a wake-up. At home, you declare, one day, I'll build a factory right here. People ate it up. His energy was contagious. His friends admired his ideas, his family beamed with pride, his teachers egged him on. But here's where it gets real. All that talking didn't turn into doing. Rohan's dreams stayed dreams. He'd start strong, cramming for tests, sketching business ideas, but then he'd stall. He'd chat with friends about his plans instead of studying. He'd daydream about applause instead of grinding. By the time exams rolled around, he'd scrape by, not soar. His family still cheered, his friends still clapped, but inside, Rohan felt the sting. Why couldn't he turn his words into wins? I've been there. A few years back, I decided I'd get fit, really fit. Not just, I'll jog sometimes fit. I told my roommates, my gym buddy, even my barber, I'm hitting the gym 5 days a week, gonna bench 200 pounds by summer. They hyped me up. I felt like a champ before I'd even laced up my sneakers. But a month later, I'd gone maybe 6 times, eaten more pizza than protein, and my bench press was stuck at hope. The more I talked, the less I lifted. It's like the praise was a sugar rush, sweet, but no fuel. Rohan was stuck in that same trap, and he didn't even know it. Then one day, everything changed. Rohan met Guruji, an old wise man who'd watched him chatter away for years from the temple steps. Guruji wasn't loud or flashy, no robes, no fanfare, just a guy with eyes that saw through you. He called Rohan over one afternoon and said, "Son, you've got a head full of dreams. But where are they now?" Rohan froze. He mumbled about effort, about trying, but the truth hung heavy. His dreams were still just air. Guruji didn't scold him. Instead, he leaned in and told a story. Long ago, Guruji began. In a village like this one, there was a farmer named Dev. Dev was poor, hands calloused, shirt patched, but he had a vision, a farm bursting with golden wheat and green vines. Every dawn, he'd toil plowing fields, saving coins in a tin under his cot. Villagers prodded him. "Dev, why the hustle?" He'd just grin and say, "You'll see," then keep working. No boasts, no blueprints shared. Years ticked by. Then one morning, the village woke to a sight. Dev's land, once scrub, now a sea of crops, a sturdy house gleaming in the sun. Jaws dropped. Dev hadn't talked, he built. Guruji paused, letting it sink in. Then he looked at Rohan and said, "Two things happen when you overshare, son. First, people poke holes. That's too big. You'll fail. It plants doubt. Second, your energy leaks out. Talking feels good, but it's not doing. Silence guards your fire. Let your work shout when it's ready." He tapped his chest. Dev knew that. Do you? That hit Rohan like a thunderclap, and honestly, it hit me too when I first heard it. I've seen it play out. My old coworker Mike wanted to ditch sales for graphic design. Every lunch break, he'd show us his sketches, talk about freelancing. We'd say, "Dude, you're talented." But then he'd get feedback. "The market's tough. You're too old to start over," and he'd deflate. A year later, he was still in sales, sketching on napkins. Compare that to Lisa, another colleague. She never said a word about her side gig, coding apps. One day, she quit, handed us her app's download link, and smiled. "Been working on this," she said. Silence shielded her. Talk sank Mike. "There's even science behind it." I dug into this. Psychologists call it the intention-behavior gap. When you announce a goal, your brain releases dopamine, that feel-good chemical, as if you've already done it. It's a fake win. For Rohan, every "wow, that's amazing" from a friend was a hit of that drug, dulling the hunger to chase the prize. But Guruji handed him a lifeline. You can change. Start now. Speak less, act more. Rohan didn't argue. He walked home, head buzzing. The next day, he was different. No more exam boasts at breakfast. No more future CEO rants to his buddies. He grabbed his books, shut his door, and got to work. Hours stretched into nights. When friends asked, "What's up?" he'd shrug, "Just studying," and pivot the chat. It wasn't easy, his tongue itched to spill, but he pictured Dev's fields, Guruji's steady gaze. Months later, the payoff hit. Exam results posted. Rohan, top of the list. The town buzzed. How'd he do it? Friends asked. He just smiled, echoing Dev, "You'll see." Years down the road, he launched a business, small at first, then thriving. He'd learned, success doesn't need a megaphone. I've tried this myself. After my gym flop, I set a new goal, run a 10K. This time, I zipped it. No posts, no pep talks. I trained at dawn, rain or shine, tracking miles in a notebook nobody saw. Race day came. I crossed the line, sweaty and grinning, and only then texted my sister a photo of my bib. Her reply, "Wait, what?" was sweeter than any pre-race cheer. Silence kept me honest. But let's stretch this further, because it's not just Rohan, not just me. Picture Maya, a woman in a coastal city, her apron dusted with flour from her diner job. She dreamed of her own bakery, shelves of sourdough, croissants flaking gold. She used to tell customers, "I'm saving up, gonna open my place soon." They'd nod, but some smirked. Lots of bakeries fail, you know. Doubt crept in. Then she met Sal, an old fisherman who'd built a boat from scratch without a word. "Keep it close," he said. Maya stopped talking. She saved tips, tested recipes at midnight. A year later, her bakery opened, lines out the door. No one saw it coming, but everyone tasted her triumph. Or take my neighbor Tom, a 40-something dad, soft around the middle. One spring, I heard clank-clang from his garage. I peeked, weights, a bench, him sweating solo. "What's this?" I asked. "Just messing around," he said. No flexing, no fitness goals proclaimed. By fall, he was ripped, lifting more than guys half his age. Didn't want the pressure, he told me later. His biceps spoke plenty. Then there's Kale, a teen I imagined up, a kid in a gritty suburb who loved guitar. He'd strum on stoops, telling pals, "I'll be a rock star." They'd laugh, some kindly, some not. Feedback stung. "You're no Hendrix?" Then an uncle, a quiet jazz player, said, "Play, don't preach." Kale shut up, practiced in his room, hours bleeding into years. At 20, he gigged at a club. Word spread. No boasts needed, his chords roared. I've seen it in real life too, like Jen, a high school runner I knew. She never bragged about her times, just trained. Senior year, she smashed the state record. Her coach said, she let her legs talk. Even big names fit the pattern. Think Beyoncé dropping her 2013 album. No hype, just a midnight release. Fans lost it. Or Elon Musk in Tesla's early days, tinkering in the shadows before the Model S rolled out and jaws dropped. The world loves a reveal, not a rant. I've lived it too, beyond my 10K. Last summer, I wanted to grow herbs, basil, mint, the lot. Usually, I'd Instagram every sprout, but this time, I didn't. I researched, planted, watered in secret. By August, my balcony was a green oasis. Showing my dad the harvest, he's a cook, felt better than any like. Another time, I tackled photography. I'd always blabbed about hobbies before, then quit. This time, I bought a cheap camera, shot sunsets, studied light, alone. 6 months in, I entered a local contest and placed third. The certificate meant more because I'd earned it, not hyped it. Why does silence work? It's raw. No one's watching, so you're free to fail, tweak, push. Talking builds a stage, silence builds a lab. I've failed loud plenty, my book idea still haunts me, but the quiet wins stick deeper. It's not about hiding, it's about protecting what matters. Words scatter energy, quiet gathers it. So how do you do it? Here's what I've learned. Try this. Pick one goal, small or big. Run a mile, write a chapter, whatever. Keep it yours. Tell no one, not your spouse, not your dog. Write it down if you must, but lock it away. Plan quietly. Map steps in your head or a private note. No group chats. Act daily, even 5 minutes. Consistency trumps noise. If folks pry, deflect, working on something we'll see. Then reveal it later. Show results when they're real, not raw. I tested this with cooking. Goal: master risotto. No posts. No, I'm a chef now, whispers. I burned batches, tweaked recipes, ate mush. 2 months later, I served it to friends. Creamy, perfect. Since when can you cook? They asked. Since I shut up and stirred. Now, let's wrap this up with the big picture. Rohan, Dev, Maya, Tom, Jen, me. We're proof. Silence isn't passive, it's potent. The world's loud, social media, chatter, bravado, but the winners often move in shadows, striking when ready. Look at history. Einstein scribbled relativity in obscurity before it shook physics. Rosa Parks sat quietly, sparking a movement. They didn't need megaphones, their deeds echoed. You don't either. Here's my challenge to you. Pick a dream. Bury it deep. Work it like a seed. Water it. Shield it. Let it grow. In 30 days, 60, a year, unveil it. I bet it's stronger than anything you've shouted about. Silence isn't the absence of sound. It's the presence of power. Go wield it. And when you do, come back and tell me how it went. I'll be waiting to hear your results, not your plans. Let's make some quiet noise together.